for more. Now let me show you something counterintuitive. Most people assume that prophetic covenants must be strong to be significant. But Daniel never said the covenant would be strong. Strength and conviction are not the same thing. A weak agreement that people believe in is far more dangerous than a strong agreement people doubt. Let's look at the reality of the Gaza ceasefire as of late 2025. Violations continue. Hundreds have been documented by both sides. Phase 2 of the agreement has stalled repeatedly. Hamas has rejected full disarmament, insisting on maintaining military capability. Accusations fly back and forth daily. The ceasefire holds, but barely. It's fragile, precarious, one major incident away from collapse. Most analysts would call this a failure in progress. But here's what they're missing, and this connects to a critical scripture we need to examine. The fragility doesn't disqualify this from prophetic relevance. Fragile agreements create the need for stronger agreements. Failed frameworks create the demand for better frameworks. Weakness today creates the opening for strength tomorrow. 1 Thessalonians 5:3, "For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." Notice what Paul says, when they shall say peace and safety. Not when peace and safety actually exist. When they say it, when they declare it, when they announce it, when they convince themselves and others that the danger is past. The deception isn't in achieving real peace. The deception is in believing peace exists when it doesn't. False peace doesn't need to be stable. It just needs to be convincing enough that people let their guard down. It needs to last long enough to reposition everything. But here's what's truly chilling about this verse, and this becomes absolutely critical when we reach the finale. Paul doesn't say, destruction comes when peace fails. He says destruction comes when people believe in the peace. The belief is the trigger, not the reality. And here's what should concern every prophecy student. The Gaza ceasefire has already accomplished that repositioning. Israel's posture has changed. Israel's focus has shifted. The board has been reset. Whether the ceasefire lasts another month or another year almost doesn't matter. The shift has already occurred. Because every prophetic road eventually leads to the same place. And that place is about to become very important. Discovery number 6. Why Jerusalem is always next. Here's something that most news analysts completely miss. They focus on Gaza. They focus on Lebanon. They focus on Iran. But they miss the prophetic center of gravity. Remember this because it ties everything together. Gaza is peripheral. Jerusalem is central. Every significant end-time prophecy converges on Jerusalem. Not Gaza, not Tel Aviv, not any other location. The periphery is where conflicts happen. The center is where prophecy culminates. Daniel 9 focuses on Jerusalem and the temple. Daniel 11 culminates in the glorious land. Matthew 24 describes the abomination standing in the holy place. Zechariah 12-14 describes all nations gathered against Jerusalem. Revelation 11 centers on Jerusalem during the tribulation. But here's what's truly striking about this convergence, and this connects to everything we examined about multinational frameworks in Discovery number 3. The nations don't just end up at Jerusalem by accident. They're drawn there. Frameworks pull them there. Agreements require involvement there. Zechariah 12:2-3. KJV. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. A cup of trembling, a burdensome stone, all nations gathered against it. This is Jerusalem's prophetic destiny. But here's what I need to make absolutely clear, and this is essential for maintaining credibility and biblical accuracy. What we're seeing is not the final covenant. Not yet. And understanding why it's not the final covenant is just as important as understanding why it matters. Let me be very direct about what the Gaza ceasefire is not. This is not Daniel 9:27 fulfilled. And here's why being clear about this matters. Because understanding what's missing helps us recognize what to watch for. The final covenant has specific characteristics that this agreement lacks. Here's what's missing. No 7-year duration. The ceasefire framework has no defined 7-year term. It's phased, uncertain, constantly renegotiated. But here's what's significant about this. Temporary frameworks often become permanent ones. Phases extend. Terms expand. What starts as months becomes years. No temple sacrifices. Daniel's covenant involves stopping sacrifices midway through. There are currently no temple sacrifices to stop. But here's what's striking, and this connects to the conditioning process we're about to examine. The Temple Institute has vessels prepared. The priesthood is being trained. The red heifer has been identified. The pieces are being positioned. No abomination of desolation. The midpoint betrayal that Jesus referenced in Matthew 24:15 has not occurred. But here's what's important to understand. And this becomes crucial when we examine deception in discovery number 8. The abomination comes after the covenant is trusted. The betrayal requires first building confidence. No singular world ruler. There's no Antichrist figure confirming this deal. It's a multinational diplomatic effort with multiple leaders. But here's what's prophetically significant about this, and I need you to remember this. The infrastructure being built could easily be handed to a single leader. The framework exists. It just needs someone to take control of it. So why does any of this matter if it's not the fulfillment? Because every prophetic fulfillment has precursors. Rehearsals come before performances. Shadows come before substance. Patterns emerge before culmination. This rehearsal is conditioning the world to accept something unprecedented. What we're seeing is conditioning. The world is being conditioned to accept multinational frameworks over Israel's security. Israel is being conditioned to accept international oversight and involvement. The international community is being conditioned to insert itself into Israel's affairs. The mechanisms are being established. The precedents are being set. The template is being created. But here's what's truly sobering about this conditioning process. Conditioning works best when people don't realize it's happening. When the real covenant comes, the one Daniel described, the one that launches the tribulation, it won't seem strange. It won't seem unprecedented. It will seem like the obvious next step. Because the world will have already accepted the pattern. So why don't most people recognize what's happening? Why isn't this on every news channel? Why aren't more voices raising concern? And here's what makes this question so important. Because the answer reveals something crucial about how deception actually works. People expect prophecy to feel dramatic. They expect thunder and lightning. They expect obvious villains and clear turning points. They expect prophecy to announce itself. But prophecy rarely works that way. Prophecy often advances through paperwork, through negotiations, through frameworks and agreements. through diplomatic language that puts people to sleep. Peace deals don't generate clicks. Multinational oversight mechanisms don't go viral. Governance frameworks don't trend on social media. People scroll right past. And that's precisely what makes these moments dangerous. And Jesus answered and said unto